Hello, I'm Skippy Mesereau, coach, former elected official, and lifelong public servant. Welcome to Healing Our Politics, the show that shows you, the heart-centered leader, how to heal our politics by starting with the human in the mirror. This is a Healing Our Politics episode-LETTE, an ultra-focused, super condensed new format, just 15 minutes with leaders just like yourself, designed to showcase your good work and introduce you to our audience and our audience to each other. Consider these episodes the appetizer, the amuse-bouche to the Healing Our Politics meal. If you like the taste, slip into our DMs on Instagram, email us through the website, or leave a comment below, and we will use your feedback to determine who gets brought back for the full deep dive, the tasting menu experience on a future Healing Our Politics episode. So sit back, relax, and pay attention because this one is coming at you fast. Look, he's here. What's going on, brother? Welcome.
That's great to be here.
It's so nice to have you, man. So I have to first start with the obligatory welcome to the Healing Our Politics podcast, the show that shows you, the heart-centered leader, how to heal our politics by starting with the human in the mirror. And this is work that you have truly been doing for decades before it even was an idea for me. So I just really appreciate having you here.
You're saying I'm old, basically. Go ahead.
I'm saying you are far more experienced and wise than myself.
Okay.
So for folks who are here who haven't heard of you, who aren't familiar with your work, in just like a very tight, since we're on a timeline intro, could you share just kind of who you are, what's on your heart, and how are you choosing to serve at this important moment in history?
Okay, great. Well, I'm Sam Daley-Harris, and 45 years ago in May, I founded the anti-poverty lobby Results, and I'm the author of a book, Reclaiming Our Democracy, which was released 31 years ago, and the new edition just came out. I don't know if you'd like me to say about how I got into this.
I think we'll unpack a bit of the work in a minute. So just kind of keep it high level so folks watching know if like they want to tune in or share it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And I've done all kinds of other things in this area. I directed the Microcredit Summit campaign for 17 years with Mohammed Yunus of the Grameen Bank, who's now interim prime minister of Bangladesh. So I've been around the block a few times.
You have definitely been around the block. And, you know, one of the terms that I think is most associated with you is something called transformational advocacy. And it was a term that, as someone who viewed myself as an advocate for a very long time, still does, but I had never heard it. So what is transformational advocacy, and how does it differ from what we might think of as traditional advocacy, or maybe on the internet what they're calling trad-ad now?
Okay. So, yeah, I think the distinction between transactional advocacy, like sign the petition, transaction complete, and transformational advocacy, where you're trained, encouraged, and succeed at doing things as an advocate you never thought you could do, like meet with a member of Congress and bring them on board to your issue. And when you do those things you never thought you could do, you see yourself differently. That's the transformation. I don't know if I can give one quick example.
Yeah.
I was talking in Reclaiming Our Democracy. One of the chapters is about Maxine Thomas. And she said to me, I had a heart for service, but I was clueless about advocacy, especially political advocacy. It's a long story, but the short version, she gets trained, involved. And after a full day of first ever meetings with her members of Congress, she says, I was euphoric. I was on this high and felt I was part of something revolutionary. So from I was clueless to I was euphoric, that's transformational advocacy. And she met with both senators from Indiana and all the reps from Indiana that day, her first ever meetings, so doing things she never thought she could do.
It's interesting because I don't think I had fully realized that the transformation of transformational advocacy is an internal transformation of the self. And that just speaks to me so much because in my world right now, as a coach for people in public service, most people are, not most, a lot of folks are asking the question of, is this for me anymore? Is it even worth it? Is it challenging? And the belief underneath that, whether someone realizes it or not, is that I'm unable to, or I am the victim of this
Yeah.
circumstance. And the reality can be absolutely the opposite. We're fond of saying the challenge is not in the way, the challenge is the way. And you can get to a mindset and a set of practices where you're seeking those hard things because they don't take you out, they take you up. And you're using them for your own growth and liberation. And as you do that, you also become much more effective as a public servant. And so I'm understanding in a different, am I getting that basically right? Like that's the message you've
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
out there for.
Absolutely. I would add in transformational advocacy, it's really important not to work alone.
Yeah.
In a local group, to be there's some hand holding,
Yeah.
not only in a local group, but you're connected to a statewide or especially a national organization that's really feeding you power. So it's not like you're in this whatever battle or something alone. No. You need to have partners along the way.
Yeah. And so, what are some of the core constituent pieces of training somebody, an
Yeah.
organization or an individual,
Yeah.
to be a transformational rather than transactional advocate?
Well, the way I put it is when I'm saying, talking to a group and say, here's what to look for, it's kind of like church shopping or synagogue shopping. Here's what to look for. You're looking for an organization that delivers three things. One, recruitment and community building.
Mm.
Recruitment is bringing new people in, not just to build an e-blast list, but to form them into local chapters so they aren't working alone. Recruitment and community building, the organization has a monthly not just the leaders, everybody, whole of organization webinar, guest speakers, Q&A, inspiration. So recruitment and community building. Does the organization deliver
Yeah.
that? Two, training. How do you get the meeting with the elected? How do you plan for the meeting? What do you ask for in the meeting? How do you write a letter to the editor? Two, training. Three, breakthroughs. There's the transformation part. Does the organization encourage you to have breakthroughs, to move your comfort zone and do things you never thought you could do? So recruitment and community building, training, and encouraging breakthroughs. That's what
Mm-hmm.
to look for to see whether an organization, most organizations don't deliver that. If I could tell you one quick story, I was talking to the head of organizing, really large group. Everyone watching would know this group. He said to me, we can't let our volunteers write letters to the editor or op-eds because they'll get it wrong and misrepresent the organization, protecting the brand.
Yeah.
Well, one of the groups I coach, Citizens Climate Lobby, before COVID, their volunteers were having 4,300 letters, op-eds, editorials published in a year. So one group's saying they'll get it wrong and misrepresent the organization. Citizens Climate Lobby saying, well, what do we have to do to help them get it right? And give that to them. And the result was
It's
like
so
thousands of
smart.
letters. So
I just came from like a 3-day conference on opioid addiction and how we can address this in a different way. And this conference brought together folks from over 20 states. It was completely cross-partisan. I mean, you got Democrats over here, you got, Kirsten Sinema over here, Rick Perry over here. So like literally all the different parties represented. But what was interesting is the strategies being talked about had a political component, a drug development component, like a curative component, and a VC or a funding component. And it was interesting in seeing those three different groups in the room, how the folks who came from the political background were really, really, I wouldn't say caught up because they could see past it, but they recognized the inherent challenge it would be to give up control, even if it was for the benefit of the citizens.
Yep.
And that's certainly something I've experienced. And so hearing you speak to the ability to trust and support positive outcomes rather than just capping the downside is a phase change that we're really going to need to make.
Yep.
And I would love to dig into that more if we have the chance to do a full episode one day. But I want to ask you, so reclaiming our democracy, you wrote that 30 years ago. You've kept that title, you've changed the subtitle, but reclaiming from who? Like for what?
Yeah, I have to tell you this. I was interviewed on 1A. It's an NPR program.
Yeah.
Goes to hundreds of stations. Yeah. The interviewer, question number 2 was, the nature of our politics now, you can feel beat down by it. I mean, this is my career and I feel beat down by it.
Yeah.
What's the way out of that? This is question number 2 a year ago. Yeah. So the whole notion of the struggle that so many people feel, and this is like a major kind of national host on a radio program feel. The first thing I said to him was, Apollo astronaut Rusty Schweickart said, we aren't passengers on Spaceship Earth. We're the crew.
That's right.
Well, are we? And if we are, how does crew operate? And the second thing I said was, futurist Alex Steffen said, in fact, these days, cynicism is obedience. Well, yeah, if I'm cynical, I'm obedient to the way things are. I'm not going to do anything about it. Why would I if nothing I do makes a difference? So it is odd that a book published now 31 years ago called Reclaiming Our Democracy sounds so fresh in a way that it could have come out this year, which it did in paperback, but like it never came out before. And yet something that I've been working to address for decades.
Is it fair to say that in your worldview and your view of advocacy and civic participation, that the reclaiming is not necessarily from some other, but simply reclaiming agency to be an actor rather than a bystander?
Yes, and what I've given up, hope on, reclaiming what I've given up on, but then to claim it, I say that you need to find an organization that feeds you power, not an organization that feeds you online petitions.
Yeah.
So
if there's somebody listening who feels like to some degree, 1% or 10% or 100%, that they have voluntarily, and I'm saying that intentionally, given up their power, and they want to reclaim it, but aren't confident in that, don't know how to do it.
Yep.
What is step one, making it as tangible and tactical as possible?
Well, let me say, when this goes up on your website, there'll be a sign-up form. And you can let me know if you'd like to be connected with a group that's focused on climate and reclaiming transformational or poverty or peace issues. And I can help connect you if you use that, or you can go to reclaimingourdemocracy.com. The sign-up sheet is there too. And I can help connect you with an organization that will hold your hand basically and encourage you along rather than, say, you can do it. Good luck.
Yeah. So you'll send us that link and we'll include it?
Absolutely.
Beautiful. I love that. That's super actionable. Okay, real quick hitter. When folks who undergo your training go to an elected official, you have them ask 3 specific questions, and we're just going to tease this. So just tell us what the questions are. Don't tell us why, and maybe people will follow up in the comments because I'll be curious about that.
Okay, great. So question number 1, we know you don't support this bill. What would it take to change your mind? You're listening for assignments. What would it take to change your mind? 2, could you say more about that? 3, why do you think that is? It's essentially a deep listening exercise. And you're listening for assignments and you're listening for commonalities and you're listening to build relationship.
Yeah, because I can tell you, being on the other side of that, most of what you get, and this is not anyone's fault, but it's just reality, is anger, blame, often on faulty assumption. And of course, what does that do? It shuts one down energetically. It has you stop listening. You nod your head, but you don't do anything about it. What you're talking about is leading with curiosity for a cause that you can both agree to, or at least find consensus on. So you're talking about moving your voice past one of protest to one of action and performance. And so that's very cool. I love that. Okay.
And
Audience.
protest,
What's that?
performance, and relationship.
And I would argue they are all one and the same. I would say that all problems are personal relationship problems at their core. And, Mr. Adler somewhere up in the ceiling staring down at me. But so one audience question, I'll give you the closing, and then can you believe it? It's been 15 minutes already. These go so fast, and I just want more. But, that's why we tee it up, and hopefully we'll dive in. So this is from Anna or Anna. Sorry, Anna or Anna. I'm not sure the pronunciation, in California. And they would like to know, how do we protect our institutions and their funding to provide the services our communities need today?
Yeah, okay. I'll just give one example. One of the things that's under attack is clean energy tax credits in the Inflation Reduction Act, which filters down to communities. And last August, there were 18 Republicans in the House that wrote Mike Johnson asking to protect it. In March, there were 21 Republicans who wrote the chair of the Ways and Means Committee urging him to protect the clean energy tax credits in the Inflation Reduction Act. What I'm getting at, and this is a much longer story of how that happened, is relationship. People, some people protested outside. That's okay. And some people built relationships inside.
Yeah.
And the end result is there's a shot. We'll see, that the Ways and Means Committee chair will largely protect the clean energy tax credits, which would, filter down to her community in California and many, many others. And that was one way. The people that have been involved years before the election and after the election and next year too, building those relationships to make that change.
So what I hear from that is, ask for what you need and want, but build it from a place of connection, relationship, and if not trust, at least an assumption that you can work with someone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Beautiful. And I hope that helps. So closing question, same to every podcast guest, episode or episode-lette, which is that, our listeners are the humans in the arena, much like yourself. They're the advocates, the organizers, the elected officials, the staffers. And if you were to leave them with just one thing, one quote, one link, one practice, one book, one resource, anything at all, but just one thing to best resource them to be a vector for healing our politics, what would it be?
Well, in simple terms, it would be connect with an organization that's committed to delivering transformational advocacy. And you can either go to this on Skippy's website, or you could go to reclaimingourdemocracy.com, and there's a sign-up sheet that will help me connect you with the kind of organization that will feed you power.
That's beautiful. Reclaimingourdemocracy.com.
Yep.
Anywhere else people can find you, read you, follow you, work with you?
Civiccourage.org. I have a column in the Democracy newsletter, The Fulcrum. Also.
Beautiful.
I just had a piece in the Boulder Daily Camera yesterday.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
And that wasn't in the blotter section, right? Sam, thank you so much for your time today, brother. Thank you for your decades of work. Thank you for just the loving, the spirit that you bring to this work after 30 years should be an inspiration to everyone. It certainly is to me. And I hope we'll get some good feedback here and maybe be able to bring you back on for something a little bit longer. Keep doing you, brother.
Yeah, love it.
All right.
Thank you.
Love you, man. Ciao for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you want to put what you've heard here today into practice, sign up for our newsletter, The Leader's Handbook, where each month you'll receive just one email with a curated selection of the most useful tools and practices discussed on this podcast today and over the course of the last month, delivered in simple how-to worksheets, videos, and audio guides, so you and your teams can try and test these out in your own life and see what best serves you. And lastly, if you want to be a vector for healing our politics, if you want to do your part, take out your phone right now and share this podcast with 5 colleagues you care about. Send a simple text, drop a line, and leave the ball in their court. Because the truth is, the more those around you do their work, the better it will show up in your life, in your community, and in your world. Have a beautiful day. The Healing Our Politics podcast is brought to you by the Elected Leaders Collective, the first leading and most highly recognized name in mental health, well-being, and performance coaching for elected leaders and public servants, designed specifically for you. Now, don't be fooled by the name. The Elected Leaders Collective is not just for elected leaders. It is for all public servants, staffers, volunteers, government, nonprofit, whole organizations. This is for you. If you are filled with passion for improving your community and world, but are tired, as I am, of the anger, stress, and vitriol, if you find yourself banging your head against that same wall, struggling with the incoming criticism and threats, arguing with colleagues who are supposed to be on your team, and questioning if it's even worth it anymore, then the Elected Leaders Collective programming is specifically for you. With the Elected Leaders Collective, you will learn to become a hashtag political healer, building the authentic, unshakable confidence and courage to stay true to yourself through the anger and pressure, while cultivating the open, empathetic mind to meet others with the curiosity, compassion, and kindness necessary to respond to threats, improve challenging relationships, de-escalate conflict, and bring people in your community together to solve real problems and get shit done. You'll reduce stress, anxiety, and overwhelm and become a more effective leader while having time for your family, yourself, your health, and your wealth, sleeping well at night, and showing others they can too. Now that's leadership. Healing Our Politics listeners receive 10% off all Elected Leaders Collective services using the code #PoliticalHealer. Use it today and become one of the brave political leaders healing our politics. Use code #PoliticalHealer by going to www.electedleaderscollective.com and starting today. That's www.electedleaderscollective.com and starting today.